Hey guys, I'm Derek. Welcome to the channel. You probably see my face and a few of my videos. I'm out here sitting in a chair, sitting outside, enjoying the nice spring weather. And I'm just over here enjoying reading these nice little bullet points that I thought was interesting. So what this whole video idea that I just came up with like an hour ago is a fun little experiment on something that I'm developing. A little back context. I've been using AI systems for a little bit of time, and I have all my little side businesses, operating calendars, all this UI stuff, and all this interface and operations happening on my computer. But it requires a lot of manual input. And every content creator is talking about agents. It's going to be amazing. Agents are amazing. So I finally got one. And when you first set it up, it's garbage, right? It's garbage. There's a missing layer. And it wasn't until about 3 weeks ago did I discover what this missing layer was, or what it needed. The system needed markdown files on your computer. Now, a markdown file for any person is just like a simple text file that gets paired with computer software typically. And it just gets stored on your local drive. So the main interface that I set up was I subscribed to Anthropic's Claude, and with the pro subscription gets you very, very small amount of tokens to utilize Claude Code. And if you download VS Code or just open up the terminal, you can essentially log into your profile and start working with the coding agent. But now the agent by itself is quite magical, but the real magical unlock is when you pair it with a free application layer called Obsidian. Now, it takes a little bit of setup, but you can search it online. I don't remember all the setup I had to do, but I set up Obsidian as an application that stores markdown files locally on my computer. Claude Code can read it. And from there, everything drastically changes. What that capability unlocks for a person, I'm going to just get rid of these script files, is essentially giving your LLM hard memory. So like an LLM of your choice. If you've been a ChatGPT user since like 4 years ago, you remember how like there's a lot of hallucinations in the context that eventually like you'll just chat, and you'll start getting all these weird ideas. You're like, oh man, this is gonna make so much good of my life. And then after like an hour or two, you realize you're circling back to the same problem you started an hour ago, which is the chat, because you're talking to it through a remote channel, doesn't remember anything. The chat just goes to the database or the servers, comes back one time, one read, back and forth. There's no memory there. Same thing with the agents. The agents were able to do all this work, but there was no memory. You had to apply it to somewhere. What linking up Obsidian and Claude Code together allows you, Claude Code can write to Obsidian, write these markdown files, and people are using them in a whole bunch of different ways. The video that I saw that got me onto this was the creator was just using Claude Code as an agent, as like a reflective pushback of his ideas. So he'd write these long texts, and then over time, Claude would see all these connections in the texts and start feeding back more and more valuable knowledge resources back. I thought this was super valuable. I want an agent that can actually remember stuff, because I've been doing this for years now, and none of the things have really good memory capacity. So I set it up, took about 30 minutes or so, and I started from scratch. And what I did was I just started figuring out all these thoughts that I had about being Iron Man and having a Jarvis partner or Master Chief in all that sense. And then it just starts writing directives. It starts writing files from all these conversations. He's like, would you like me to write this in code? Would you like me to write that automation? Da, da, da. And like, you could do all that? And you're like, yeah, go ahead. And over time, you start getting all these encapsulated instructions. And what inevitably happened and we landed on is I was like, okay, I have software automations running. I have this thing via using API code to access and read into my Google profiles, right? So I set it up to look at my YouTube channel, create analysis on my YouTube content and all this stuff. And I hadn't touched YouTube for a month, maybe two. And then once I had all this data scraped together, I start getting ideas like I need to get back into content again. I need to do it again. But I'm busy. I have in about 3 months, I'll be working on my master's degree. In 2 months, I have this school semester that I have to finish for all my prerequisite classes to the master's degree. I have 2 children. I have my wife, I have my house. A lot of things are falling apart. There's a lot of different operations. Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I have a little bit of free time, but I have school, all these different sources of income. I have a lot of different things happening all at the same time. So I started getting in the mindset of like, I don't want to do the work anymore. And I can't tell the agent to do work anymore. So Claude's a good interface for the building level. But then it comes down to the human of really reflecting and finding things that they want to better their life with software. So I've turned essentially my mental reflections into software. And a couple days ago, I had the idea of just making my channel content a lot easier. I still haven't nailed down a niche. And I know every YouTube coach talks about niche. I suck at it. I'm a creative person. I have a lot of different interests. I can't possibly speak about niches. So instead of me selecting a niche, I had software automations to figure out an A and B testing method for niche content. I voice record a lot of my mental reflections and get those transcribed a lot. So I programmed a interface or an operating system to essentially take these recordings and encapsulate it like a knowledge set. No different than how like an LLM, ChatGPT, your favorite ChatGPT, Claude Code, Gemini all work. I took that reflection and I said, digitize this, extract the knowledge bits that are useful, and then test it against an audience. And come back to me with content results and like start flushing out. So I have this engine that's essentially taking my thing that I was already doing, journaling and reflecting and thinking a lot, and creating a software capable design that can take those raw thoughts and be like, yeah, this content type over here, people want to know that message. So now let's pack it up, package it into a nice little video content. And so that's why I just threw behind me was essentially this whole operating system under the hood. So it generated a brief for me. I didn't show it on screen, but it had a full script designed, major talking points. And this is based off of a journal entry from 3 days ago that I have this idea, blah, 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 blah. And so it ran with it and refined it and encapsulated in code and saved it and processed it, found a market in the back end. And then with the same thing, once I'm done hitting record, the back end process is all software capable too. So I don't even have to go in on YouTube and click anything. I just load it to my local drive and the automations take over. Thumbnails generated, text generated, title A/B testing generated, scheduled upload generated. So now the real interesting picture is as the content creator, now I've outsourced all of the operations. Now there may be some faults I may need to fix down the road, but now it's just become a person trying to find the things I've experienced through my life, through my journals and my reflections, and creating a autonomous feedback loop of flushing out those reflections that I've thought about and flushed out of my life, and bringing that to value for YouTube. That's what I was already attempting to do, but now I designed a software system to do the creative upfront thought, and then give me packets like a book on a shelf. Be like, hey, remember that reflection from 3 weeks ago? Here you go, pull it out. Here's a little brief on how you can talk on video about XYZ. Film it whenever at your leisure, upload it back, and then we'll handle the channel analytics portion and the tracking and all the other back-end stuff. So that, when you're talking about AI really amplifying aggressively the outcomes of humans, this is really what people are talking about when we're talking about this. They're like, it's not just you sitting in a chat interface all day, every day, just, hey, can you draft up this email? It's really finding a capability to have custom oriented frameworks that work for the human at where they're at. I was too busy to handle the operations and the logistics and the creative process myself. So I outsourced it to something else that can intelligently ingest things that I didn't understand about myself and find a market and an audience for it, and to actually test those ideas. It doesn't just test it and keep it internal. The software is looking at the language of the reflection, looking at the source of where you're speaking from, analyzing it, breaking it into small chunks, and piecing it together to find a message for someone out there in the world from something I've already thought about and learned yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, right? So it's an interesting little experiment. This is my first video on this. I hope this is valuable. I hope this is interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think of this crazy, kooky idea. I hope this works out, because hopefully this engine keeps flushing out interesting ideas that I think would be hopefully valuable for you guys, the viewer, and the rest of kind of the YouTube ecosystem. So I hope if you have questions on how it actually articulated and worked, shoot me a message. I'll see if I can show you the architecture of the system, but I'm gonna send that directly to you. So if you made it to this far in the video, just shoot me a message or a comment, and I'll get back to you. Later, guys.